Recording in progress.
So
Okay, I guess I call this meeting to order again.
yeah.
Yeah. And now we move on as though nothing has really changed. There is one item that I have to apologize to the assembly, which is the chair's report. There's not much I can really speak to in relation to the chair's report, as of course we have confidentiality agreed with Vancouver Coastal Health. But the one thing that I will share with the assembly that I have shared in the past is the capital plan, the capital master plan, which was originally scheduled for 2025. We have heard is now going to be pushed back into 2026 after the other two regional hospital districts complete theirs. And I've expressed my disappointment, and I've also reached out to the other two regional hospital district chairs to kind of find out, like, why do we have to wait for both of them to finish when they're doing theirs simultaneously? And why can't we all just kind of do this together as a team? But I'll be working with the other chairs of Sea to Sky and Sunshine Coast. Then, of course, there's other items that I'd like to report on, but I'm not 100% sure whether they're allowed to because of confidentiality, so I'll leave it at that. That is kind of the main item, and I believe I also brought up when we talked about our financial plan that Vancouver Coastal Health is once again being very late with their requests. And it makes me wonder, perhaps we should have some kind of, capital plan application policy where we give them a timeline to say, hey, you got to have it in by a certain date. Otherwise, you'll have to try next year. That's something to just possibly think about. But it also makes me wonder, because I believe it was Sea to Sky Regional Hospital District that they were in this position where they kept getting the funding requests at the end of the deadline, February, March, and so for 2 years in a row they declined all funding. And it seems that they're now first at the queue to get actually attention. So I'm not threatening that. I'm just saying what happens. That is the end of my chair's report, and I apologize again for not bringing that up at the appropriate time on the agenda. Okay. Now on to the next item of business, which is 12.3, which is our regional hospital district board meeting schedule. You have the item in front of us, and we've already done the schedule for the regional district. What is the will of the assembly? Does anyone want to move the motion, or do they want to move a different schedule?
I'll move the meeting schedule, and then maybe we can amend it.
Second. Okay. So that has been moved and seconded. The meeting schedule is on the attached package. January, March, April, August, and December, with start times at 1 o'clock. I'll open it up for discussion. Director Powell, you have the floor.
And Chair, I'd just like to, I'm fine with it starting at 1, but I'm just wondering if it may help with some directors, especially Director Lennox, to start at 3. The table of meeting durations that was in our board meeting shows that the hospital district rarely goes over half an hour, very rarely over an hour. So an hour is completely sufficient. It could even be pushed to 3:30. So I'll maybe suggest to Director Lennox that he put forward an amendment to that kind if he wants. But I'd like to hear if that would help, because I'm fine with it this way, but that may at least push this one closer to the 4 p.m. start time of the planning. Is it planning committee after this? I believe it's planning committee that is following that. So I just want to throw that out there. I'm open to that. I think that could help ameliorate that one day at least. One of the 3 days.
Okay, Director Lennox is next, I believe.
Thank you, Chair, and thank you, Director Full. That does help. Any effort helps like that. What I have noticed with the regional hospital district meetings since I've started, they used to be very brief. They're getting longer. We're talking about more, and so I think an hour is appropriate, but I would like to kind of tuck it up next to one of our other meetings, so I'm open to any suggestions there.
Is that a motion?
Sorry, it is a motion.
3 o'clock?
To 3 o'clock. Thank you, because
I'll second that.
Okay, moved by Director Lennox, seconded by Director Fall. Discussion on the amendment, going from 1 till 3. Oh, go ahead. Oh,
So the,
yeah, speakers list, Director Elliott and then Director Fall.
we just adopted the schedule that was option 5 and the other one. This is proposing meetings before planning, which is starting at 4.
That is correct.
Okay.
Yeah.
And the proposed amendment, or is the amendment on the floor?
The amendment is on the floor and it's to go from 1 till 3.
Move it from.
Yeah.
Oh.
Change it from
The
1 to
meeting's
3.
going from 1 to 3. No, meeting started at
Yeah,
time.
sorry, my
Okay.
wife would slap me for this for not being clear.
The
The
grammar.
meeting start time is being proposed to be moved from a 1 o'clock start time to a 3 o'clock start time.
Thank you.
Okay.
Sorry, I just wanted to clear that up.
Director Fall.
Right. I'm in support of this. I just want to, so the meetings have sometimes got longer, but when I look at the table provided by staff in our board meeting, they're almost always under half an hour, which is an hour is because I do agree we're going to have more. And there is the 2 longer meetings were special meetings. So we, on occasion, I believe last year, it looks like twice the longer meetings were special. So when we think there's something big, we can schedule an extra meeting. But I think an hour may avoid having to do that, because if we can fit it in the hour, we can get things done. And give at least 15 minutes. If we end half an hour and we have time to go for a walk outside, that's also can be good. So I think it's a good thing.
Okay. Are there any other discussion on the amendment? Seeing none, I'm going to call the question. All in favor? Any opposed? None. That is carried. So now the motion before us is the proposed schedule with a start time of 3 p.m. Are there any other dates, or not times, any other dates that members of the assembly would like to add? Okay, I would actually like to put forward one proposed date, and that would be June the 24th. And it's a planning committee day. And if there's a seconder, I will speak to, we'll let the,
Just want to make sure there's no conflict.
let's do it.
Are other
June the 20th.
clear there?
Okay. That'll be June 24th, and if there's a seconder, I'll speak.
Second that for discussion.
Thank you. If you take a look at our meeting schedule, January, March, April, and then August, there's quite a big gap in there. And when speaking with some of the other regional district chairs, as advocacy is becoming a bigger issue around healthcare and mental health, there has been some kind of discussion that around the time of June is when the board kind of gets together. And it's not a strategic planning session, but it's having that extra meeting to go like, hey, as we start getting into the fall, which is where that working group starts to advocate and push for some of these various capital projects, that could actually allow the hospital district to, put that pressure on if we so choose. And there's always an option that if there's nothing really to discuss, we can just cancel the meeting.
So, Director Chair Gisborne and seconded by. Oh, thank you. Sorry.
My apologies.
No, I just didn't catch that.
Director Fall, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Chair. I'm fine with that. I have a question though, for the chair or through the chair to our corporate officer. We used to have regional hospital district committee of the whole meetings, and I don't see them here. So I don't know if we just don't have those anymore. So we're doing everything right away at the board, which is fine. And then in which case an extra meeting is warranted, or if they're just not decided here yet. I was a little bit curious about what happened to those ones.
Through the chair to our corporate officer.
It did become quite difficult administratively. Like sometimes we didn't have them, and then we would have long periods of time where we didn't adopt the minutes, and it became kind of an issue. So what might be the best way is to have a board meeting, and if you don't want to make the decision, then schedule another board meeting, instead, because then even at today's board meeting, we adopted committee of the whole minutes because we haven't had a scheduled committee of the whole. And if we had had that, we would have had to schedule another one. So it was becoming an administrative issue. So I might suggest more board meetings if more meetings are needed.
Thank you. I totally understand that. I agree with it. And I think having this extra meeting in June makes sense in that regard. And I think it's also, if we feel we need more discussion, an extra meeting could be scheduled. We can also go into committee within a meeting, or the chair can choose to have some other forms of discussion. So I think we can debate things as needed. And I think the nature of the hospital district is conducive to this schedule. I think this works actually. I think it may work better. We can try it out. Thank you.
Thank you. Director Elliott, the floor is yours.
So I noticed a similar gap between August and December. And I'm wondering if we shouldn't also amend the motion to include October.
Well, would that be an amendment to the amendment?
I think.
Which I don't
Well,
want
we
to.
could do amendments one at a time, I guess.
Okay.
There you are.
Yeah, but that's a really good point. Any other comments? Okay, I'll briefly put myself on the speakers list. To Director Fall's point, and I believe also to Director Lennox's point, our meetings have been fairly short. And I believe that the reason we had a committee of the whole for Regional Hospital District was way back in the day when we were building the Wellington Creek Village, and the Regional Hospital District had a lot on their table to kind of wade through. It made sense to have the committee of the whole. We might end up going back to that as, of course, our capital master plan, I believe, gets discussed with Vancouver Coastal Health. But I think that is a really good point to keep on our awareness. So that way, as the nature of our discussions, if it starts taking up too much time, then yes, I think we might actually want to schedule a committee of the whole. But that's just my thoughts on that matter at the time. Oh, corporate officer.
Sorry, I just needed clarity. Are we putting a meeting in October now, or are we going to?
I think we're going to deal with
A separate
something on June. So the motion on the floor is June the 24th at 3 p.m. Everyone's understanding? Okay, I'm going to call the question. All in favor? Any opposed? None. That is carried. Director Elliott, do you have a motion?
I think so. I just want to verify the date in October. Is it the 28th or the 20?
I have so many things in front of me. Just 1 second.
October the 21st, I believe, is the
Third
planning.
Yes.
Okay, so I would move that we schedule to add a meeting on October 21st at 3 p.m.
Okay, is there a seconder? Seconded by Director Lennox, moved by Director Elliott. Good. Okay, is there any discussion on this item? Or amendment, sorry. Seeing none, I'm going to call the question. All in favor? And none opposed. Motion's carried. Okay, back to the main motion, which is the regional as amended. It is the Regional Hospital District Board meeting, and it has had 2 meeting dates added, one for June the 24th and one for October the 21st. Is there any discussion on the main motion? Seeing none, I'm going to call the question. All in favor? Any opposed? None. That's carried. Okay, moving on to bylaws. There are none. New business. Consideration for participation in the Foundry Cathette anchor table from Committee of the Whole meeting September 25th. What is the will of the Assembly? Director Elliott?
So we previously considered at the regional board, and so this would be the regional hospital district participation, not.
That is my understanding.
So the regional hospital board currently owns some facilities where some services are. The Foundry may end up with a completely like they're looking for a site of their own. If they end up not on hospital district land, then it will be kind of outside of our purview. However, if we had lands to offer up, or opportunities or lands to offer up in that conversation about where the Foundry should be, then it might be nice to have someone at the table. But I'm not entirely sure if that's what we're considering in this now, whether we're just looking at locations as being our participation, or because that could be done a different way, because the anchor table is likely to deal with a lot of things outside the hospital board's purview.
Yes, that is correct. And I think our participation in the Foundry kind of fits more into the advocacy kind of umbrella that we do, not so much of, providing a capital project. If the Foundry wanted to do a capital thing, they would have to go through our staff and make an official request and things like that. I believe the request for this appointment is just more of the advocacy umbrella, I think. Is that correct? I'm seeing a nod from our CAO. Director Lennox?
I just have a question. And it was from a comment made earlier today. Is the city is participating? That's the question. Through the chair, the city is participating. Are any of the QRD directors participating? Because my idea is that we can get information through the existing participation. Got it.
As far as I'm aware, hopefully I can answer the question.
Or one of the
As far as I'm aware, the regional district, the Cathett Regional District does not have an appointee to the anchor table. Is that understanding correct? I'm seeing nods from our staff.
Okay.
I believe next on our speakers list is Director Southcott.
Councillor Isaacson is the city's delegate and I am the alternate.
Thank you.
Okay, so do we want to have a motion to appoint someone? Is anyone interested? Okay.
I'm gonna move option 1. And if I get a second, Earl.
Okay, option 1, moved by Director Lennox, seconded by Director Brander. Let me just find what option 1 is.
Yeah, that's why it's on page 4 of 17 in our agenda.
Option 1. Respectfully decline.
Yeah, the participation, if you read it, it's participation in the table, but asking them for periodic updates, right? And the motion is that we invite them to make those updates before us. And I think that's worked well for us in the past. And at this point, that's what I think we should be doing.
No, yes, I think we have sent a communication. I think that is something that we did at the regional district.
Right.
Okay. Anyone else wish to speak to this motion? Seeing no hands, I'm going to call the question. All in favor? Any opposed? None. That is carried. Okay, moving on to question period, which we've already had, but we've had a few other items of business. Is there any questions to our meeting schedule or our committee of the whole consideration of Cathett Foundry? Seeing no questions. Okay, we'll move on to the proposed in-camera session. And since I'm chairing this meeting, I'm not going to read out the. Who would like to do it?
I could try. I'll find it. Oh.
Just
There we go.
closed it, so.
I move that the board move in camera and that the meeting be closed to the public on the grounds that the subject matter to be considered relates to matters covered by the community charter under sections 91D, the security of the property of the regional district. J, information that is prohibited or information that if it were presented in a document would be prohibited from disclosure under section 21 of the Freedom of Information and Protection of Privacy Act. And N, the consideration of whether a board meeting should be closed under a provision of this subsection or subsection 2.
Thank you. Moved by Director Elliott, seconded by Director Lennox. All in favor? Any opposed? None. That's carried. Now we are moving in camera.
It's only a half-hour drive.
Here that we're recording, we're back in session. Thanks, Chair.
Recording in progress.
There we are. We are back in public session. We have now come out of our in-camera session, and there is nothing to rise and report from our in-camera session, which brings us on to item 18, which is adjournment. If there's no other items of business, we are adjourned. Thank you very much, and have a wonderful Merry Christmas, happy holidays, all the other things. Happy non-denominational winter holiday.
Now we can
Recording
say goodbye,
stopped.
Andrew.
Okay, thank you all, and have a really good break, and we'll
Christmas,
see you in
everybody.
2025.
Happy New Year.
All the best.
Meeting of the year.
See you next year.
Okay, bye.